Oh, hey there. I was just contemplating that stripped bolt that's in the transmission crossmember down here. So here, let me get out from under here and let's have a chat about that thing, should we? That's good to be limber, huh? Okay, so make sure you stretch before you do something like that. Anyway, I was under there looking at the frame. I don't need to deal with that right this minute, but I do have to take care of it at some point here. So it's on the list of priorities before we get the engine and the transmission, all that stuff sorted out. I don't want to forget about that. Started working on the tub big time over here, so I'm making a mess in the garage. We'll continue on with some of that. Hopefully get a coat of primer back over this stuff and see how it looks once we've dressed it up a little. So come on along, let's go get our hands dirty. Well, I'm afraid I don't have anything all that exciting to show you on this process that I'm working on right now because I'm doing a lot of sanding and skimming a little tiny thin layer of Bondo again out and then sanding that down and skimming another little layer. So I'm going to give you a quick look at the progress we've made. So this area right up here I think I showed you was a pretty heavy grind mark. Here and here I've got both of those kind of filling in. A few other odds and ends pieces along the bottom here. This was where it looked to me like this thing had been clamped into something and it's kind of was curled in just a tiny bit there. Just filling out some spots here. This is pretty much done, this area. And here, and you can kind of see the difference between here and here. So this was a spot weld area. And there you can kind of see the original kind of black primer showing through, another showing through, another spot weld, spot weld, spot weld. So while this is covered a lot, there's not much putty there really. It's just a tiny little thin layer. Back here is obviously still pretty rough. I put another layer on that last night, so I'll sand that down now. Setting up the corner, but it's going okay. It's just messy and it takes a while, and it's not that exciting to show you. So I'm going to do some more of that now and see if I can't get this thing pretty much this chunk about ready for some primer back on it. I stopped at the store on the way home and got some more primer and a little bit more sandpaper. So I'm just going to tear into it and show you what we got when I'm done here. Alrighty, well, let's check in on my Bondo job so far. So let's see if we can get the light where we can kind of see what's going on. So I just skimmed a little tiny layer over this whole corner panel back here. And I've got a couple of spots here where there's like a hole, where there was a little dry piece that scraped a hole. Drywall taught me to deal with that kind of crap in my life. A few little holes here, and then right back here in the corner, I've got a few little cleanup, but for the most part, that section right there is done. Now, lest you think this is really thick, let me just let you listen here. It's a little thick right there because there's a low spot here, but doesn't sound any different. So that just shows you there's really just a thin layer of Bondo here just to level it up. You can see there's a high spot here, a low spot there. So we come up here, I think I'm getting into another kind of a high spot here. And there's one showing through here. And if the truth be told, it looks like there's kind of a high spot here. Or maybe it's just that I have a little ridge right there that there's a little low spot there. So I gotta just skim a tiny little bit right there. I got another hole right there. But then really this is done. So it's gonna get then a pass with some real high grit stuff like some 2000. Really clean it up nice. And then a couple little spots here. And here I'm trying to fill in one of those grinder marks right here. So I've gone up just kind of over my line. You'll see the lines there. I'm gonna take a block with some sandpaper on it and sand that line back in. But I didn't know how else to get that kind of straight except just to go over it. So that's the nasty part there. It's got a little work to do. But the rest of this thing is getting onto the very final little chunks of it here. So I don't know if I really needed to get all this crazy, but I did. And I think once it's painted, we'll be happy that I did this, but right now we're just gonna have to take my word for it. So there it is. I've been sanding for a couple of hours. I got a big pile on the floor and everything's all white and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna have a massive cleanup job, but soon I'll be ready to get some primer back on this thing. And I bought kind of sandable primer, so it will fill a few of these little imperfections, but I'm just going to skim another little chunk right there. I'm going to take the pencil and kind of draw out the little places that need a little tiny attention. I don't want to put much on there because I'm getting tired of sanding, but like there, this up here's, I kind of missed going right up to the edge. So there's a line right there. And all I'm doing is just running my finger along and you can just feel it. So there's a low spot right there and another one right in there's a little hole, and then this edge right here. So yeah, that's just how it goes. So I'll be carrying on. All right, well, I brought you out here in the garage with me again for another pass at finishing up the body prep on the passenger side of the CJ tub here. So I've got my little spots here with I just tried to do a really, really thin skim just to finish up the couple little blemishes I had to do. So I'm gonna put on some 400 or better grit sandpaper and touch those up a little bit, and then this side will be pretty much done. It rained a little today. What a concept. We haven't had rain in over a month here. So we finally got some rain today. So that was kind of nice. So it's not hot. It's nice in the garage. So it's all good. So I'm going to clean this up and then I'll show you what I'm done, because I'm pretty sure I've shown you enough of me running the sander back and forth. You're probably pretty bored with that. But I'll show you the end result when I get done before we get some primer on here. So it'll look like I've made the whole body be covered, but again, it's a really thin little skim of it. So let's do that. I'll finish that up and then I'll give you a walk around and show you what we got here. All right, well, if you'd have asked me about 6 months ago if I was carrying around very many opinions about cans of paint and primer and stuff, I'd have said, no, I don't think so. I think it's pretty much all the same. You buy a can of the stuff, you spray it on. But that has all changed and I've become quite opinionated now. And there's some stuff that I don't like and stuff I do like. I don't like Rust-Oleum products. And silly me, I didn't like the Rust-Oleum primer when I was spraying the plain black primer, and I went to AutoZone the other day and I was looking more at what I was buying in terms of what it was. It's this sandable, fillable primer that I thought might cover up a few of my tiny little blemishes in the layer of putty that I put down. So I bought it, and it's Rust-Oleum. And here's my complaints. First of all, it sprays in a jet about that big around. So instead of a fan shape, it seems like some of the other ones that I've got, the nozzle makes the paint spray in a fan shape. So when you're spraying it, you're feeling like you're getting good coverage. This stuff, I just felt like I was just doing little 1-inch wide stripes, and I tried getting closer and I tried getting further away, and I tried tilting the can to see if I could get a little better coverage, and I just didn't feel like I did at all. So my second complaint is, so far to the touch, it feels just extremely rough. Now my guess is that's the filler part, and I need to sand it down a little bit. So I'm gonna let it cure out. I've done the side. Let me just show you here. Stand by. I'm gonna lift you up, and I'm gonna move the light around so you can see what we've done. So basically I have finished off my side, as I mentioned, and primed it. Now, let's see if we can see up close. You can see just a very unsmooth surface there, and maybe again that's just needs to be primed, but you can see that how uneven that layer of primer looks there. But the one thing you're not seeing is any spot weld holes or any of my little silly little blemishes along here. So that's all good. And I don't know, maybe once I get a little sanding done on this stuff, it'll be all right. But so far, that stuff, I'm not a fan. So I won't be buying any more of that. And again, I was looking more at the part that said fillable and sandable than I was looking at the makers of that thing. So sorry, dudes at Rust-Oleum, if you were thinking that you wanted to sponsor me, sorry, I don't like your stuff. So, sorry, I just don't like your paint. It doesn't apply well. And I had that problem with that Rust-Oleum black primer that was just running all over the place, and it took forever to dry. It was flat black, and it would be glossy, wet looking for a week before it would finally dry out. So I've learned my lesson, and I won't be buying any more of this junk. But I did get this side done, and I mean, it's as done as it needs to be to get the primer sorted out. So once I get this sorted, we'll take a closer look at it. But all my spot weld holes are gone, and my little claw marks where the thing was in the vise or the clamp or whatever are gone. And I think, I was putting my square flat edge along the things I was working on it, so I think I've got kind of all my highs and lows pretty much sorted out as well. So I think it'll be all right, but I just don't like this paint. So I think that is probably going to do it for this episode. So I'm going to wrap this up. When we come back, well, who knows what we're going to do when we come back. I kind of have that. I mean, I guess it's time to pull this thing out away from the wall and start on the other side while I'm going, but I will certainly be looking for some different primer. So anyway, I did get my steering column thing, so I'll show you that next time around. And I think that Quadratec finally got inventory on my tie rod and drag link for the front end, so I can get that tied up. It's no big deal, but every time I move it around, the wheels go in different directions, so it looks really stupid while it's moving around. But my ego will be all right. So anyway, that's where I'm at. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time around.